I love Geto Boys. As a group, love them. Individually, love them. But the title to this tour, The Long Goodbye, I mean, I'm the one that knows that pancreatic cancer is one of those iffy things. That there is no, yeah, you could do 6 months of this and you'll be okay, or a year of this and you'll be okay. So the title itself bothers me.
Right.
So that's a lot of stuff that I'm going through. And then reason why I had to make the announcement was because I went to the rodeo and I had a hat on and I just did chemo, so I had a cowboy hat on, and the chemo makes you get hot and cold flashes. So I looked like I was just sweating, like for no apparent reason. The picture just looked weird. And my daughter said people were making weird comments and it bothered her, so then I was like, well, then I had to tell her when she called me about the internet. I was like, well, the doctor finally told me what stage it is and exactly what the situation is. The next 90 days of chemo determines what they're gonna tell me, like this much more treatment could do this, or it doesn't matter what we do, you gotta cut out half your stomach like we said originally, we gotta cut off half of your pancreas, half of your liver, half of your liver and bladder, and then we're still gonna give you chemo, but your body's not gonna be able to accept it. That means possibility that you'll die. I mean, these are the thoughts that I have. You know, between trying to figure out the group, not getting upset with me not liking a title that doesn't speak life.
Have you had that conversation with Willie D and Scarface as of yet?
I've spoken to Willie so far. I haven't had an in-depth conversation with Face yet, but I just don't like the title. It doesn't speak life. And it's like, I'm raised Jamaican with people with strong belief, and we believe that life and death is in the power of the tongue. You know what I mean? And I believe that if the tour is speaking life, I'm with that. But if I get on stage and perform, then I'm agreeing that I'm starting a journey on a long goodbye. That means I know I'm dying and I don't know how soon or how long. It's like, I don't even want to entertain those thoughts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And how tough is it to even think about that, though?
That's the whole thing. It's like, I love my kids, and it's like, the thing that bothered me the most when I really got the news was how many entertainers, right, don't leave anything for their kids or never thought that far ahead that something might happen to them.
Right.
So my first line of attack was, Bill, you need to do a bunch of music because your old music gonna sell regardless. That got nothing to do with your kids. You know what I mean? I'm sure there'll be love and things issued and given to them, but no one has to actually do anything from your old records and give them anything. It's not a must. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna let old record sales and your kids starve? Or you're going to create new records, new moments, new everything. So from I got the news, I'm up to 32 songs now, and I'm finished with the album. So that way, whichever way this thing goes, I live to perform all the records, then I get to enjoy the music I put out. If I don't, at least my kids do not have to look at other records sell and wonder why I didn't do what I was supposed to do when I was younger, which I didn't know anything, you know what I mean?
And that's because you don't own that music.
Right, I don't own it, and I didn't sign paperwork to own it. I was just happy to be rapping.
Right.
I didn't care about the future. I mean, I'm young, and it's like I get to be famous, I get to be on stage, and no one's pointing at the little guy no more and making fun of the little guy. Now it's, oh my God, it's Bushwick Bill. It's like, I was caught up in that, not being an item that people made a spectacle of just because of the way I was born. To all of a sudden being this person that's legendary, everybody respects. We just love this guy, Bushwick. It's like, I still remember the days when people pointed and laughed at me and threw things at me because look at the funny guy. You know what I mean? So
the thing I do not like about our fucking system is that we are set up just like how Hitler had set up Germany with the concentration camp for the Jews. He convinced everybody around him that the Jews should be expelled because they were Christ killers. Now, if you look at the American system, the blacks need to be put into a certain area where they're condensed, right, to where they will do nothing but self-destruction.
The project.
Yeah, because once we come outside of that, then we're invading their territory now. Right. Just like when the Jews went into certain parts of Germany, they were invading what the Germans were doing because the Jews were in power as far as money. So the only way Hitler could get in power was to get rid of them. But we are the #1 purchasers of every motherfucking thing in America. So what they want us to do, rob and kill each other and give them the money. And that concentration camp mentality is going to backfire on their ass because just like Martin Luther King said back in the day, he said, y'all better listen now because we can't control the youth.
The real reason why, you know, we killing each other is because we segregated. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if we all...
Alright, peace, y'all. Peace, peace, peace. So, in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the late rapper Bushwick Bill. Alright? Now, for those that don't know who Bushwick Bill is, he was part of the group Geto Boys, right? Along with Scarface and Willie D. Alright, but it's some very interesting things that I found in his story, right? And we're gonna be talking about it, and I'm gonna be respectful to the friends and family of Bushwick Bill. All right, now, Bushwick Bill was born December 8th, 1966, all right? He was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and his mother and father decided to move to Brooklyn, New York in the early 70s to pursue a better life for their 9 children. All right, now, Bushwick Bill began noticing, in New York, there was a heavy hip-hop influence, right? And he got down with a couple breakdancing crews and started to graffiti himself as a kid. All right, now, as Bushwick started, becoming in his teen years, his parents, noticed that he stopped growing. And around the age of 13, he was diagnosed with dwarfism. All right, now, dwarfism is like when a person just stops growing. He was stood at like 3'8" at the age of 13. So his parents just made sure that, everything was good. And then that's when they found out he was a dwarf. Now, all this time, Bushwick Bill would attend high school in Brooklyn, but being that the kids would often tease him and pick on him, he dropped out in the 9th grade, right? And only had a 3rd grade reading level, right? Now, his father instilled in him that in order for him to still live there, he had to do something with his life. So he joined what was at the time the Swatch Watch breakdance team, right? Now, the Swatch Watch breakdance team was a group of collectives that would, perform on 34th Street in New York, all right? And he was a part of this group, and they would just breakdance, and he would show his skills and stuff like that. And during this time, he would often also minister the gospel to people on the street as well, all right? Now, by 1984, when he turned 18, he was on his way to India to continue his ministry, right? And then this is where you got to meet that fork in the road, because this was at the point where he got a call from his older sister to come out to Houston for a while. And when he went out to Houston, he kind of like left some things behind.
I prayed one thing when I got famous, because I left church to pursue my love for music, lost my eye, died, came back, have a tremendous emotional roller coaster of a life that have affected me emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And I know it's because I turned my back on God. I was on my way to India to build irrigation systems in school, and I heard music, and someone told me I was good at it. And then all of a sudden I was like, and that was DJ Lonnie Mac, rest in peace. Yes, he's like, I'm gonna call Ready Red, rest in peace. And I'm like, you mean the album Hurricane gave me, the Geto Boy song? He's like, yeah, them. He's like, Bill, you'd be perfect, man, I'm telling you. You know how to dance, and that's what they need. Like, they need that hypeness because their lyrics is so deep. I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna feel that way about me. He called Ready Red. Ready Red saw me dance and do the hype thing for Lonnie Mac, and he called Lil J. Lil J came through and scoped me out. Then he called a meeting with me, because Lonnie Mac moved from Club Flames off of Belair and Geshner in the same parking lot as High Times. It was in the corner. It was a Latino club that would do hip-hop nights back in the day. And then he switched from there to the Rhinestone Wrangler, well, the Thunderdome. Then it became the Rhinestone Wrangler. But if it wasn't for Lonnie Mac and Ready Red, I'd never met Lil J.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I denied God and went with music. And you've seen all my troubles. You've seen all my losses. You've seen all my turmoil. You know what I mean? I would just get mad and say anything in the press. I would just get mad and say anything to anybody interviewing me in front of their face, because I know I'm not loved. I know if I wasn't Bushwick Bill, you wouldn't love me. I know this for a fact. You wouldn't even be fainting. I would be just a funny-looking short guy, period. And if people think I don't look in the mirror and know that, yes, I'm a human being, but I am an odd character to observe. Yes.
Now, Bushwick had took his sister up on an offer and moved to Houston. I kind of like pushed his ministering to the back. Now, he was a busboy and began breakdancing, all right? And this is how he met up with DJ Lonnie Mac and DJ Ready Red. Now, during this time, you know, Jay Prince had the label Rap-A-Lot Records, right? But they was going through a group of individuals to create the Geto Boys. So at the first time, you know, they had Prince Johnny C, Bushwick Bill, and DJ Ready Red, right? But that group wasn't working. So Jay Prince, a lot of people don't know this, but Jay Prince had went out to New York and had a little secret meeting with Rick Rubin, all right, as well as with Leo Cohen. And they kind of like gave him the ropes on how to, you know, make the label Rap-A-Lot Records grow. All right, now, when Jay Prince had came back, they released the album, and it was called On That Other Level. But like I said, didn't get no notoriety, and they managed to get signed to Rick Rubin at the time on his Deaf American label and re-released the album still and called it Geto Boys. But it still didn't do nothing, right? Now, I want to talk about this Bushwick Bill eye situation, which happened in 1992. Now, most people know the whole story of Bushwick Bill losing his eye. You know, some people say he did it for insurance money. Some people say that, you know, he just got drunk and started a fight and all of this stuff. But I know what, you know, most people think, but there's a lot that takes place in this industry. And like I said, the fact that once this incident happened, you know, Mind Playing Tricks on Me hit the charts and became #1, and they went platinum. Things don't just happen by coincidence. I'm just letting y'all know this.
Bushwick Bill, what about the accident? Do you want to talk about that with the Everclear?
Sure, why not? It was like this here. I started out the day drinking Everclear. Lots and lots of Everclear.
Which is strong stuff.
Yeah, it is corn liquor. And then I moved up to E&J. Then when I went to the club, I had Crown Royal, Long Island tea, and I had gin. Then afterwards, I smoked me some. You know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't gonna lie about it because it's in Rolling Stones. It came out in the beginning of this month, and I said exactly that. So I ain't gonna bite my tongue. You know what I'm saying? And when I came home, my girl was asleep, so I woke her up and told her to kill me because I wanted to die. I was tired of my life. She said she didn't want to shoot me, so I shot her and my 3-month-old baby first. Then I tried to beat her head in with a vacuum cleaner, but I missed. Then I gave her the gun and jumped at her, and when I see her hand reach the trigger, I put my eye in front of it. And as you can see, I'm a lot happier now because God saw fit to spare me in spite of myself. So the wages of sin is death, but God saw fit to make me have more breath.
How did you feel the next morning?
I didn't feel nothing. That's the whole thing, too. After she shot me, I started laughing. And I looked in the mirror and said, look, there's a bullet in my eye.
You didn't feel regret about everything?
I didn't feel nothing. You know what I'm saying? Until like 2 days later, after I started thinking about, you know, the vision I had of God and everything, and him telling me that to go back, and then like I blacked out and everything was dark, and it seemed like I was in hell because all I kept hearing was people screaming and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It was weird. At first I thought I had, you know, died, then next thing I know I'm alive. But what I didn't remember that everybody told me that I fought the ambulance people for an hour. It took 2 ambulances to take me to the hospital just to save my life. That's how drunk I was.
So now you're suing Everclear?
Nah.
You're not?
I'm not gonna sue them.
Okay.
Because the way I see it is this. I was the one who took it upon myself to consume Everclear. You know what I'm saying? They're just a distributor. I was a consumer.
Okay. So anyway, what you talk about in the music, the Geto Boys, it's really what you feel then?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was a homicidal maniac with suicidal tendencies. The homicide I want to commit was on myself, and the suicide is the act thereof.
So one last question, because we are running out of time. What do you see for the future for the Geto Boys?
For the future, the Geto Boys can't be stopped because we're 3 different minds, you know, collaborating on many different aspects of life, the things that we go through. Because think about it, a wholehearted action is what you think, what you feel, and what you do.
Now, I'm going to show y'all a couple clips of a few other people that have went in the same situation, and they got to give up these offerings. Now, watch this.
During a routine check on Houston's well-being, his bodyguard opened the door to his hotel room and saw large amounts of blood trailing across the floor and Houston lying on the bed with a hotel towel covering his left eye. When the bodyguard removed the towel, he saw that Houston's eye was hanging out, but the singer not seeming to be in any pain.
With me, got shot in his leg. I got shot in my stomach 4 times, and I got shot in my face and my left eye. You know what I'm saying? But the bullet ain't go all the way through. I think it ricocheted off something and then went in my eye.
Oh, damn.
So I had to get like a complete lens transplant. You know what I'm saying? I had got an artificial lens right now. You know what I'm saying? And I had like a burst bulb or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But they bought me back, medicine. You know what I'm saying?
Now, what I want to point out, right, is so ironic. If y'all ever seen the movie Chucky, Chucky was basically a demon, okay? And this demon, all right, had lost his eye. Now, Bushwick Bill used to carry around this Chucky doll in the early 90s. Everywhere you see Bushwick Bill, this Chucky doll was right along with him. Now, if you ever saw the movie Chucky, Chucky was basically denouncing God, all right? And it was like his whole ordeal was to denounce God. That's all it was about. He didn't care about nothing. It was just to kill and murder. Now, my personal opinion, because I believe that a lot of this stuff does have significance, is that Bushwick Bill understood, okay, the whole ordeal behind this, and certain things had to take place. Like I said, when you dealing with this industry, it gets deeper than what most people think. Now, all of these people know that having a Chucky doll is symbolic, right? It's all symbolic, but at the same time, it has a deeper meaning, right? You've seen all of these things happen before. It's the same ordeal. Now, later on, Bushwick Bill stated if he was in his right mind, he wouldn't even have done the album cover, right? So they kind of like had him go through this whole process and exploited him. All right, now Willie D even mentioned that he, told him, kind of like convinced him while, Bushwick Bill was sedated and made him do the album cover with his eye like.
Cliff's like, back to business. Cliff's like, okay, so what are we gonna do about the album cover? And I said, well, we can shoot it. He alive? So Cliff is like, well, how are we gonna do that? I said, man, we just go up there and shoot it. He said, well, who's gonna ask him? I said, I'll ask him. So I went up there and I was like, Bill, I said, man, we gonna shoot this album cover, man. You down? Bill was like, I don't care. He's like, yeah. He said, yeah. I went back down and told him it was a go. Me and Brad went upstairs. Cliff went to his car, got the camera. We went upstairs and back to the room. The nurse put Bill on another gurney. And me and Brad rode him down the hall.
So the nurse was in on it. The nurse knew you were going to... There it is.
We rode him down the hall. And we didn't roll him far. I mean, maybe the room was like right behind us to the right.
Whose idea was it for him to be holding the phone?
I don't know, but I know Chief was there too, our road manager. So I don't know if Chief told him, grab the phone or something. I don't know, but
was the hat already on him?
No, he put the hat on too. So I think that was Chief's idea to put the props on, but. He started rolling down the hallway and Cliff shot the picture, and that's how you got the cover.
Wow.
Now, Bushwick Bill would go on to make features on Dr. Dre's Chronic album, guest appearances on TV, released his own solo albums, realizing that he didn't really own his own publishing. Later on, he would go indie, all right, to leave his music to his kids. But it's a sad situation because nobody's really checking for Bushwick Bill's music anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like defeating the purpose. All right. Now, once realizing that the music business kind of like considered him as a has-been, he gave his life to Christ again in 2006. And this is where it gets crazy because his life began to down spiral. All right. Now, during this time, he expressed that he was under spiritual attack and, he faced being deported and, he kept getting arrested. Then he got pancreatic cancer. It was a bunch of stuff that just happened. Now, what I will tell people is this, right? I'm just going to be honest with you. If you decide to join Satan's army, you don't just get out of that easily. Okay, now, some people realize this, like when you backslide is what they will call it backsliding, right? Most people go through health issues, they go through financial hardships, all of these different things when they backslide because you've made an agreement. If Satan has given you these things of the world and all of a sudden you change your mind and don't want to play that game anymore, he's gonna take all of that stuff away. You have to pay the price. You there's no way out of that. You have to pay the price. All right. And this is what I feel like a lot of artists, are afraid to do. They're afraid to, give their life to Christ or go back or backslide or whatever they want to call it because of the hardships that they may face. So with that being said, y'all, I hope I broke this video down for y'all. Rest in peace to Bushwick Bill, and I'm gonna get to some more content for y'all. All right, peace.